Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and we are at the Mercedes-Benz of Farmington here in Utah, looking at one of the vehicles that I am potentially going to buy over the next little bit. Before we get in the video, I obviously want to give them a huge shout out for obviously giving me some time with all of these G Wagons. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below. Something I love about their dealership is they are a one price store, so they make the buying experience super easy and straightforward. So definitely check them out if you're going to be in the market for a new Mercedes, and let's get into it. So first off, we got to talk about the different versions of the G Wagon. So we have the G63 and then we have the G550. Now the 63 is the AMG version of the G Wagon. It's the more desirable version from a market standpoint. It has a massive price premium attached to it because there's so many people that want the 63s. Now the G550 is the quote-unquote base version of the G Wagon, if you can even say that. And it's technically the less desirable version of the G Wagon, but it's kind of more off-road oriented. Now you guys are probably wondering, am I gonna be looking at a 550 or a 63? Well, the answer is a 550, and they actually have a 550 right now in their inventory that's pretty much identical to what I would spec it out as. It's not this one, it's another one I'll show you guys later in the video. Now, let me explain why I do not want a 63. So first off, exhaust tips. Now, these side exhaust tips look absolutely killer and the exhaust sounds amazing, but this is not great for breakover angle. I actually plan on using the G Wagon as it was intended to be used, which is taking it off-road. And so if I want to take this thing off-road, I want to get the most amount of ground clearance and I want to have the best possible angles and everything, you know, approach, departure, and breakover, and this gets in the way. Now the other thing I don't like about the 63 is actually the brakes. So we have these awesome AMG brakes with the 63, which, right, are great for stopping. But they're not so great if you want to actually do some off-roading because they're so big, you can only fit a 20-inch wheel as the smallest wheel on a G63. Most of them will come with 22s, like this one has 22s. The wheels look amazing. They're great for on-road use, but for off-road use, you want to have something like a 17 or an 18-inch wheel, which, again, you can't do on a 63 unless you were to completely take off the brakes and change those out, right? And the other thing is the 63 comes standard with adjustable shocks, which again is amazing. It helps out with ride quality and all that, but I plan on changing out the shocks if I get a G Wagon, and so it would make no sense for me to basically pay a price premium for upgraded suspension that I would then just completely get rid of. And then the other thing, which is kind of like a minor point, is I'm actually not a fan of like the lower brush guard thing. I mean, I think the 63 looks amazing, especially in this green paint. This one that they have here is just so cool. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that, and that also would kind of get in the way from an off-roading perspective, and so there you go. Now, the 550, on the other hand, has quite a bit more with it that actually helps it to be better off-road. So first off, we don't have exhaust tips poking out the side. You guys can see the exhaust is actually underneath here. So that actually helps out with breakover angle quite a bit. And if you look at the brakes here on the 550, they're a lot smaller. You can actually fit an 18-inch wheel on the 550. You might even be able to fit a 17-inch wheel. That would be a little bit of a stretch, but you can for sure fit an 18-inch wheel, which means that you can fit a real off-road tire. You can easily fit a 33 with stock suspension. I'll actually show you guys a G Wagon that they have right now that has 33s on it, which is pretty, it looks so killer. But yeah, you can do that. And so again, from an off-road perspective, it's more set up with that. Now, in terms of the shocks and suspension, you can get the upgraded adaptive shocks with the G550, but it's not standard with the G550. So that means that if I ordered one, I could order it without the upgraded shocks, which then means that I'm not gonna be paying for something that I'm not gonna be using. And then on top of that, I like the look of the like front, like, okay, the 63 looks amazing. But having the brush guard up top, it has this cool, like, old school safari type appearance to it. And I don't know, I think it looks really cool. And so I think that they've just done a really good job with the styling on the G550. And even though it is the, you know, quote unquote less desirable model, I think it's the better looking rig. And yeah, I don't know, every single time I see like a 63, I'm like, that is a cool vehicle, don't get me wrong. I mean, and the performance behind it's crazy, right? Having almost 600 horsepower and over 600 pound-feet of torque and a 0 to 60 time as quick as a lot of sports cars is awesome. And this, you know, having only 416 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque, it's nothing to, you know, sneeze at or anything like that. Still very powerful, but it doesn't compare to the G63. But still, I don't know. Like, when I look at these, especially with like this package here, how everything's like blacked out, including the lights and everything, just like what you get in a 63, It's just such a cool looking vehicle, even the turn signal lights there at the top. But let's go pop inside and look at the 550 that they have that is pretty much the spec that I would get. So first off, this is the G Wagon that they have that has the off-road tires on it. Now this does still have bigger wheels. Again, like I said, you could basically put smaller wheels on this and have a little bit more sidewall, but still, even with 20s and having the all-terrain tires, it completely transforms the appearance of it. It looks a lot more aggressive, and it's just kind of like a really cool aesthetic overall. Definitely love it. I mean, even like, again, with the 20s, look at this. You can see like kind of the full view. But yeah, I mean, imagine, again, 18-inch wheel, and then still like 33s like this, and that would be great from an off-road perspective and also look fantastic. But yeah, let's just give you guys an idea of, you know, kind of what I'd be looking at in terms of setting it up from a tire and wheel perspective. Now here's the G Wagon they have right now that is the spec that I would get if I were to get a G Wagon. Sorry about the camera rocking up and down. It was trying to figure out what it was supposed to focus on. But anyways, you guys can see here how it's got the matte black paint, and again, how the turn signals are blacked out here on the hood, and then you got the darkened lights, and then the whole like front end is darkened as well. It just looks so amazing. Now, one downside about the 550 over the 63, because you've got this bar up here, it blocks this, or what would have been a camera right there, so it doesn't have a front camera, which is a little bit of a downside, but it's not a huge deal. Now again, obviously, like I said, I would do an off-road tire and wheel setup, but this package does come stock with 22s. Actually, when you do this like full blacked out package, which is pretty cool, but like, look at all of the elements, like everything is blacked out, and it just looks absolutely fantastic from every single angle. And then obviously one of the coolest things about the G Wagon is the lock and unlock is so, like, it just sounds absolutely fantastic with the mechanism. Now another big plus about the G Wagon, and you guys know that we have a Junior coming here in the near future, is, I mean, look at this cabin. It is amazing. And so you guys can imagine a little baby Ben back here. I mean, this is car seat friendly and all that. But you can get a really nice upgraded interior with the 550, just like the 63. You can see the lighting here, you know, just full on luxury car. Comes with nice amenities like heated seats for the rear. And if for some reason Junior's way taller than me, there's plenty of headroom there. And it's also super practical from a rear storage perspective. Notice that there's quilted leather there. I actually like this spec with like the black. Now I probably wouldn't do a white interior like this. I'd probably do like blue or black, depending on exactly what I decide on. But notice cargo cover here in the back, and again, tons of storage space here in the rear. And again, just like the clicking sound when you close things, just, yeah, it sounds so robust and awesome. Same thing here with this one. You can hear. And then popping here to the front, you can see again the interior is just as nice as what you have in the rear. You have heated, cooled seats, massaging seats as well, like everything you could imagine. Just look how comfortable these seats are. And you guys can see the steering wheel setup. Full digital gauge cluster. Now what I've been told is that the 2022 is not going to be changed at all compared to the 21. So it's still going to have this same gauge cluster. And this one I think is this one's a 21. And then you're still going to have like the infotainment system that's not a touchscreen. But a big benefit of the G-Class, and obviously this is a video series, we're going to talk about several vehicles that I'm looking at, is that you have 3 different lockers. You have a center locker, a rear locker, and then a front locker as well. And so that means it is extremely capable from an off-road perspective. You have your different drive modes. The G500 actually does have some off-road drive modes as well, which is really cool. And so basically you could off-road in complete comfort. Now you guys are probably wondering in terms of other off-road specs, and I'll close this up and we'll kind of get into that. Let's get into all the specs with the G-Class. So we've got 9.5 inches of ground clearance. We have 30 degrees of approach angle, 28 degrees of breakover angle, and then 31 degrees of departure angle. We have independent front suspension here, and you guys can kind of see that whole setup right there. And then we still have a solid rear axle in the back, which you can see underneath with it. So there is going to be really solid articulation with the back. This is still a body on frame SUV, and so similar to the Ford Bronco, the new Ford Bronco, right? It is all set up for off-roading, but it also does have really solid driving on-road. The steering is precise, it's smooth, it's comfortable. So basically, it's an amazing luxury vehicle, as you guys saw with the interior and the features you get with it. But then on top of that, it has some off-road chops, and it still is very capable off-road. I want you guys to let me know what you think about doing a G-Wagon build on the channel. Now, I could go one of two routes with the G550. I could basically completely deck it out so that it was fully loaded, had the nicest interior and all the cool options, just like that matte black one that we saw in the showroom. Or I could go another route and basically just build out a base model G-Wagon with the intention of building it into a super capable off-roader. I'd off-road it either way, but basically I could make it into like this extremely luxurious daily driver, or I could just have it, again, in quote-unquote base format, which is still a very nice vehicle. And then with the money saved, then we could focus a little bit more on the off-road modification side of things. So let me know what you think either way on that. And I've been thinking about the matte paint. I love how it looks, but I could just buy a gloss black G-Wagon and then just wrap it in satin paint protection film, and then it would look just like the matte one, basically, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them. And so it's probably the route that I'll go, because that'll save me quite a bit of money, because those premium paint colors are, like, the packages they come with and everything, it's expensive, that is for sure. But let me know what you guys think about like an off-road build with a G-Wagon. If you guys are wondering what I would do, I probably wouldn't go crazy. I think that right off the bat, I would do 18-inch wheels and 33s, because you can fit that on a stock G-Wagon completely fine. I do some off-roading to figure out how capable it is stock. And then I probably do like a small lift and then 35s. I think that that would be like the sweet spot, because if I go above 35s, I'm probably gonna have to change things with the rear ends, right? Because when you go to bigger tires, if you don't upgrade the axle ratio, then usually the vehicle just drives horribly, because you just don't have enough power going to the ground, right? You don't have enough power to move those bigger tires. So that's definitely something to take into consideration. And then the other thing, frankly, is I don't know if I'd want to have it lifted that much to fit something like 37s, right? I'd have to lift it a massive amount just to fit the tires. And once you start going crazy with the lifts, then next thing you know, stuff starts breaking. You have to replace like half the vehicle, and I don't know if that'd be worth it. I think just like a little lift, which would obviously still put a little bit more wear and tear on the components, but I don't think it would be so much to where, you know, everything would start falling apart, which I've seen happen with crazy lifted vehicles. So let me know what you guys think. I think it is an awesome idea. You know, it's a super capable off-roader that nobody takes off-road, and so I think that me doing a cool off-road build with it and taking it off-road would be super fun. So yeah, let me know. And again, I'll include a link to Farmington's website in the description down below. I will see all of you in that next video.